Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting and often overlooked coin from United States history, the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny. This coin might look ordinary at first glance, but once you dive into its background, design, history, mintage numbers, and current collector demand, you will start to see why it is a fascinating coin to learn about. And in certain conditions, it can even be worth quite a lot of money. First, let us go back to the origins of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it was the very first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure. The front side, or obverse of the coin, shows the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse originally carried the wheat ears design, known as the wheat cent. That design continued until 1958, and in 1959, it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1973, the Lincoln Memorial design was still in use. The obverse had Lincoln's profile with the motto, "In God We Trust," along the top, liberty on the left, and the year 1973 on the right. The mint mark, if present, would appear under the year, either AD for Denver and S for San Francisco, or no mark at all for Philadelphia. The reverse showed the Lincoln Memorial with the words United States of America at the top, E pluribus unum, above the building, and 1 cent. Below. Now, let us talk about mintage numbers and why they matter. In 1973, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 3.7 billion pennies. The Denver Mint produced more than 3.5 billion pennies, and the San Francisco Mint made around 317 million coins for circulation, as well as proof coins for collectors. When you add that up, you realize that this was not a low mintage year at all. Billions were made, and most examples in circulated condition are still only worth face value, 1 cent. However, the story does not end there, because collectors are always looking for special qualities such as mint errors, high-grade, uncirculated coins, and proofs that are still in pristine condition. For example, if you have a 1973 penny from Philadelphia or Denver that is well circulated, it will generally only be worth a cent or maybe a few cents if sold in bulk. But if you happen to find a 1973 penny that has been preserved in mint state condition, especially graded MS-65 or higher by a grading service, then its value can jump significantly. Some examples in top grades have sold for $20 to $40 or even higher, depending on demand. The San Francisco minted coins are especially interesting because of the proof issues. Proof coins are specially struck with polished eyes and mirror-like finishes intended for collectors. A 1973's proof penny is not rare, since over 2.7 million proof sets were made that year. But if you have a flawless example, graded PR69 or PR70, it can bring impressive prices on the market. Sometimes collectors will pay over $100 for the very top grade proofs. Another category that can make a 1973 penny valuable is error coins. Mint errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, wrong planchet strikes, and other unusual mistakes. A 1973 penny with a dramatic error could be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100, depending on the type and severity of the error. Collectors love these rare accidents because each one is unique. Let us also take a moment to think about the metal composition of the 1973 penny. At that time, pennies were still made mostly of copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. That means each coin actually has a small intrinsic value based on its copper content. Though it is illegal to melt down pennies for their metal value, the fact remains that pre-1982 copper pennies are often saved by collectors and investors simply because the copper content is worth more than 1 cent now. When we look at today's coin market, what is the current value of a 1973 penny? Well, in circulated condition, most are only worth face value, but in uncirculated condition, MS-65 or better, you can expect values ranging from $10 to $40, depending on the mint and grade. Proof coins in perfect condition can go much higher. Error coins can bring hundreds, and of course, coins with great eye appeal, strong strikes, or unique qualities can attract even more attention from serious collectors. So what should you do if you find a 1973 penny in your pocket? Change or coin jar. First, check the mint mark. Is it from Philadelphia with no mark? Denver with a D or San Francisco with an S. If it is an S-proof coin, you probably will recognize it right away. Because of the mirror finish next, check the condition. Is it worn and circulated, or is it bright red and uncirculated? If it looks flawless, you might consider having it graded by a professional service. Also look carefully for any possible errors or doubling on the lettering or date. Finally, remember that even though billions were minted, every coin has its own story, and a lucky find in great condition could be worth far more than just a single cent. In conclusion, the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny is not rare in general, but it is still a coin with deep history as part of the long-running Lincoln cent series. For most people, it will only be worth 1 cent. But for collectors' condition is everything high-grade, uncirculated coins. Proofs and errors can transform an ordinary-looking penny into a piece worth dozens or even hundreds of dollars. So next time you see a 1973 penny, do not dismiss it right away. Check it carefully because you never know when you might be holding a little hidden treasure in your hand. Today, we're going to dive deep into the story of a 1995 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a piece of American coinage that might look like just an ordinary copper-coated zinc penny at first glance. But in reality, it carries an incredible amount of history, collector interest, and even potential value far beyond its tiny face amount. The 1995 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 until 2008, replacing the earlier wheat reverse design that had been struck from 1909 to 1958. The obverse features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, while the reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., designed by Frank Asparo. This was a common coin that circulated widely in the mid-1990s with billions struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. However, what really makes the 1995 cent stand out in numismatic circles is the existence of a remarkable variety known as the 1995 double die obverse penny. This variety was created when the hubbing process caused a doubling of the letters, especially visible on the word liberty and on the motto, "In God We Trust." And this doubling can be seen very clearly with the naked eye, without the need for magnification. Collectors love strong double die coins because there are scarce striking errors that were not intended to happen, but did make it into circulation in significant numbers. The 1995 double die penny quickly became one of the most famous modern era coins that has been heavily collected since the mid-1990s, when roll hunters and dealers started noticing them in pocket change and in bank boxes. Now, let's talk about the values, because this is what excites most people. A normal 1995 penny with no doubling is extremely common, and it is usually worth only face value in circulated grades. Although if you have a mint state coin that has never been used and still has its original red luster from the mint, those can bring anywhere from 50 cents up to a couple of dollars depending on a grade. But the true star of the show is the double die obverse version, which can bring significant premiums in circulated condition. Even a lightly worn example might sell for between $20 and $50 in the coin market, and in higher mint state grades, especially with strong red color, the values really start to climb. Coins graded mint state 65 red by professional grading services can bring $150 or more in gem examples. At the highest levels, like mint state 67 red, have sold for several $100s at auction, in some cases approaching $1,000 when two or more collectors compete for a premium coin. This shows just how much demand exists for this era variety, because it is not just rare, it is also dramatic and easy for beginners to spot, which makes it highly desirable even to casual collectors. Now, is also worth noting that the 1995 double die was discovered at the Philadelphia Mint, and no confirmed double die from the Denver Mint has been documented. So if you have a 1995 D penny, it is likely just a regular issue, unless it is in top mint state condition or has some other minor error like an off-center strike or clip planchet, which could add value. Collectors today in 2025 still chase after this coin, and prices have remained strong because while the overall supply is not extremely small, the strong popularity and iconic status of this double die keeps the demand very high. In addition, This coin often appears in lists of the top 10 modern era coins to look for in pocket change, making it a favorite of treasure hunters who search through rolls of pennies from banks hoping to find one for themselves. So to summarize, if you have a regular 1995 penny, it is worth 1 cent, unless it is pristine mint state red, which might make it worth a small premium. But if you have a 1995 double die obverse penny, you could be looking at $20 to several $100s, depending on the grade, and if it is certified by a top grading company like PCGS or NGC, collectors are often willing to pay more for the assurance of authenticity. And grade the story of this coin reminds us that even in the modern era, small details like doubling during the hubbing process can turn an ordinary cent into a valuable collector item. And it pays to look closely at the change you handle every day, because treasures are still out there hiding in plain sight. So make sure to check your 1995 pennies. Look for the bold doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust, and you might just have a coin worth far more than its face value. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coin collecting history value guides and market updates. Today we're going to talk about a coin that many of you might have in your pocket change or in an old jar sitting around the house, and that is the 1980 Lincoln 1 cent penny coin. This small copper coin might seem ordinary, but it actually has an interesting history, a few varieties that can make it valuable, and a market demand that surprises many collectors. So let's go through the history, the value, the errors, and the current worth in today's coin market. First, let us begin with the background. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It replaced the Indian head cent and became the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real person on the obverse or front side. The reverse at that time showed 2 wheat stalks and was called the wheat penny. But in 1959, on the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the design changed to the Lincoln Memorial on the back. That memorial reverse stayed in circulation until 2008, and the 1980 penny is part of that memorial design series. Now, let's focus on the year 1980. This penny was minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia version has no mint mark. The Denver version carries a small D mint mark below the date. And the San Francisco mint produced proof coins with an S mint mark. In terms of composition, the 1980 penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. It still carried the original copper heavy metal mixture before the U.S. mint switched to copper-plated zinc cents in 1982. This means each coin from 1980 weighs about 3.11 grams, which is slightly heavier than modern cents. Why does that matter? Because copper itself has value, and many collectors love pre-1982 pennies simply for their metal content. At one time, people hoarded these pennies for copper scrap, but melting them for metal is illegal under U.S. law. Still, the higher copper content gives them a little more appeal compared to today's zinc cents. Now, when it comes to mintage numbers, in 1980, the Philadelphia mint struck more than 7.5 billion pennies. The Denver mint struck more than 5 billion, and the San Francisco mint made around 3.5 million proof coins in total. There were over 12 billion pennies made that year. So common circulated examples are not rare. However, condition and errors make a huge difference. So let's talk about value. A normal 1980 penny that has been circulated and shows average, whereas usually worth just 1 cent or sometimes a couple of cents to collectors. But if you find one in uncirculated condition with full red luster from the original minting, it could be worth much more. For example, in mint state 65 condition, a red 1980 penny from Philadelphia or Denver might be worth around $1 to $5, depending on demand. Higher grades like mint state 67 red can sell for $50 or more in rare top population. Coins in pristine condition have even gone for hundreds of dollars at auction. Proof coins from San Francisco are also collectible. They were sold to collectors in proof sets, and if kept in perfect condition, they can bring several dollars each. The deep cameo versions with strong contrast between the frosted design and the mirror background are the most desirable, and those can reach $20 to $50 or more in high grades. But the real excitement comes from error coins. Some 1980 pennies show striking errors: double dies, off-center strikes, or clip planchets. One of the most famous is the 1980 double die obverse, where the doubling can be seen, the date or the word Liberty or the motto In God We Trust. Such coins are rare and can bring anywhere from $100 to several $1,000s, depending on how strong the doubling is. Another variety that collectors look for are repunched mint marks on Denver coins, where the D was stamped more than once. Those can also bring premium prices. So if you Have a 1980 penny, the first step is to check the mint mark then. Look for any errors, then consider the condition. If it has been sitting in circulation for decades, it will usually only be worth face value. But if you discover one that looks brand new and bright red, or has a major doubling, you might be holding a coin worth a lot more than a cent now. Let us look at the current coin market as of now. In 2025, demand for high-grade, early 1980s copper cents has grown slightly because more collectors are building complete Lincoln Memorial sets, certified coin grading. Companies like PCGS and NGC have graded thousands of these coins, and in the highest grades the population is limited, which drives up auction prices recently. Some MS-67 red examples have sold between $100 to $250, while an MS-68 red can easily cross $1,000 at auction. So, to sum up, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny is common in circulation, but has great collector potential in high grades, proof versions, and error varieties. Ordinary worn coins are worth just a cent, but uncirculated red gems or double die errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So always check your change, because you never know when a common-looking penny might turn out to be a valuable treasure. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy learning about coin history, values, and hidden treasures, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss our next video. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the most familiar and iconic coins in the United States, the 2018 Lincoln 1-cent penny. This is the small copper-colored coin that almost everyone has handled at some point in their life. But what many people do not realize is that even a coin as common as the penny can sometimes carry hidden value. Collectors pay attention to every detail of design, condition, and rarity, and that is exactly why some 2018 pennies can be worth far more than just one cent. Let us start with the background. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin has gone through a few design changes over the years, but Lincoln's portrait has remained on the front side, which is called the obverse of the coin. In 2018, the penny carried the same general design that we have seen since 2010, which is the Union shield reverse. This shield represents the preservation of the United States as a single united country, a powerful symbol that ties directly back to Lincoln's legacy. The obverse of the 2018 penny features the classic bust of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his head, you will see the word Liberty, and to the right, the date 2018. Depending on the mint mark, the coin may show a small letter, such as D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, or S for San Francisco, and each of those mint marks can affect the coin's value. Collectors often check for these small details first before considering the grade or condition of the coin. Now, we need to talk about the composition. The 2018 penny is not made of pure copper. Even though it looks like it is, the coin is actually a zinc core with a thin copper plating weighing about 2.5 grams and measuring 19 millimeters in diameter. This composition has been used since 1982, when the United States Mint switched away from nearly pure copper cents to save on production costs. While the composition is not rare, it is important to know because it helps identify genuine coins from counterfeits or altered pieces. Let us move into the part that excites most people: the value in circulation. Most 2018 pennies are worth just face value 1 cent. But that is not the whole story. Some examples in high uncirculated condition or graded by professional services can sell for much more. A typical uncirculated 2018 penny might be worth anywhere from 25 cents to $1, but when you get into higher mint state grades, especially those rated MS-67 or MS-68 by services like PCGS or NGC, the price can jump dramatically at auction. Coins in perfect or nearly perfect condition with no scratches and full sharp luster can sell for hundreds of dollars, and in some rare cases even over $1,000. There are also special varieties and errors that can push the value up. Certain 2018 pennies have been discovered with double die errors, where parts of the design, such as the lettering in Liberty or In God We Trust, appear doubled under magnification. Another type of error might include off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned, or planchet errors, where the coin is struck on a defective blank. All of these unusual mistakes are highly desirable to collectors, and depending on the severity, they can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to several $100s. Proof coins also play a role in value the San Francisco Mint produces. Proof pennies that are struck using special dies and polished. Blanks to create a mirror-like finish. A 2018 S-proof penny in perfect condition can sell for $5 to $15, while special deep cameo examples in top grades can bring in even more. Now, let us consider the market today. As of now, the 2018 penny is still a modern coin, and millions upon millions were struck by the U.S. Mint. So they are not rare in circulation, but collectors are always looking for the best quality examples, and for unusual air varieties, if you happen to find a shiny 2018 penny that looks perfect, it may be worth sending it to a grading service, because top-grade coins continue to fetch high prices at auctions. To sum it all up, while most 2018 pennies are only worth 1 cent, you should never overlook them, because condition, rarity, and errors can transform an ordinary coin into one worth serious money. The history of the Lincoln penny stretches back more than a century, and the 2018 version continues that legacy, carrying both sentimental and collectible value. So next time you have change in your pocket, take a closer look at those pennies, because you might just be holding on to a small piece of treasure. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the 2018 Lincoln 1-cent penny, its history, value, and current market worth, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and share it with other collectors and coin enthusiasts. Stay tuned for more coin stories and guides coming soon.